What if I said it's safe and possible to release work to customers at any time? What would you think about that? You might have your own questions and concerns before you answer. Something might break. You might be thinking, well, I'm not trusted to release my work to customers at any time, or I don't trust others to release their work at any time. Each one of these things is great to discuss with a team. We can talk about improving safety, increasing trust, streamlining process. And as we talk about each thing, we can get closer and closer to maybe it is possible to release work to customers at any time. Many teams, though, in these conversations, reach a seemingly unsolvable problem. Think about it. You're on the development team, all the way to the left in the process, with other teams and phases sitting firmly between you and the customers at the other end. You're not delivering anything straight to them this way. Now, a batch of work is sent to your development team, and you get it done as quickly as possible. And when you're done with it, you pass it on to the next team to do something like functional testing. And if they're successful, they pass it on to the performance team, and so on. These phases vary between organizations, but this is roughly the situation. Eventually, that batch of work makes it to an operations team who's responsible for deploying the work to a production environment for customers to use. So this idea that was originally intended to delight customers, it enters development as a large batch of work, but it must make its way through this entire process before being delivered to customers months later or longer. The issue with this is batching. You see, it's intuitive to think that if we are given all of our work at once, then we will be able to focus on it and get really fast and complete the whole thing efficiently, and then pass it on to the next group to do the same thing. We can think about this strategy as batch it up and be the fastest at processing the batch. Well, we can test this strategy with a simple and cheap exercise using only 20 pennies and a timer. For this exercise, we have 20 pennies and a customer that needs their pennies flipped 4 times. And of course, this customer would like to receive fully flipped pennies as soon as possible. Okay, starting with a batch of 20 pennies and a penny flipper for each time the pennies need to be flipped, we can simulate this process by having all 20 pennies flipped once, then passed on to be flipped a second time, and only after all 20 pennies are flipped a fourth and final time does the customer start to receive their fully flipped pennies. With this batch size, they get all the pennies all at once as a nice big release. This batch of 20 pennies can typically be flipped 4 times in about 2 minutes. Since all the pennies are delivered at once to the customer, they get their first and last of the 20 pennies at the same time in about 2 minutes. If you run this exercise with 2 batches of 10 pennies or 4 batches of 5 pennies, the customer gets their pennies faster and faster. If you do 1 penny at a time though, essentially a batch of 1, it yields significantly even faster deliveries. Doing 1 penny at a time means that 1 penny is flipped and passed for its second flipping, then the third and fourth, and delivered to the customer with the rest of the pennies flipping in right behind the first. If you do it this way, the first penny is delivered to the customer in about 5 seconds. Then the customer continues to receive pennies until the 20th penny arrives to them at approximately 30 seconds, so this is a pretty big deal. When you reduce the batch size to 1, the customer starts receiving value in 5 seconds instead of that original 2 minutes. And then they receive everything, all 20 pennies that they originally asked for, in about 30 seconds. This is a huge difference. So we prove through this exercise that there's a much faster way to deliver value to our customers, and DevOps is how we do this, by essentially flipping the old process to release smaller batches more frequently. By having everyone on the same team necessary to release the work and keeping our batches of that work very small, our teams can deliver value to our customers more frequently and significantly sooner. Automated testing and continuous integration are just 2 examples of methods to help achieve this improved collaborative focus on better product development and delivery to our customers. DevOps transforms teams, allowing their definition of done to include putting value in our customers' hands. This is what DevOps is about, and this is why we do it.